Hi, it's Leah here to tell you about Dr. Anthony Pannozzo. He's a pain specialist located in southern Palm Beach County. So if you are somebody that you know is suffering in pain, Dr. Pannozzo is the one you guys need to call. And make that call today because living in pain is no way to go through life. Dr. Pannozzo has been in practice now for more than 49 years. He's treated more than 73,000 patients for pain. He's an expert when it comes to diagnosing the pain, and he has had huge turnarounds. In fact, people with living with scoliosis, he has had nearly a 100% turnaround. Lumbar pain as well. If you've got lower back pain, if you're suffering with migraines or flat feet pain, maybe pain in your elbows, your neck, your shoulders, Dr. Pannozzo can help you. And the greatest thing is he can help you without drugs, without surgery, and without having to go through weeks and months of rehabilitation. Give him a call today. Set up an appointment. It's 561-381-5800. Tune into his show Sundays, 11 to noon. And now, here's this week's edition of the Dr. Pannozzo Sports and Medicine Hour.
Good morning, everybody. Let me say thank you to all the people that helped put this show together. Number one, Dr. Pannozzo.
Yes.
Without you, we have no show.
Right.
I'd be sleeping today, or I'd be at the gym.
I've never been so important in my life.
Yeah, you are. And then we have Freddy.
That's the name, Dr. Pannozzo Medical Hour.
We have Freddy Santorio of AM2.TV and his crew up in, where's the rest of our crew, Gio? Orlando. We got a bunch of people that are there now. And we got Linda back again from her vacation. And today we have John at the board, our producer. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Make sure all those calls come directly to us, right?
Absolutely.
No, send them to another station.
Don't do that. Like we do every week, we always have the Coach's Corner to talk about what's happening in sports today. So without further ado...
Well, he always does this.
Without further ado...
He puts you right on the spot, doesn't he, Freddy?
Yeah, no, it's funny. You know, you don't talk about Atlanta. You don't talk about the good things coming. You don't give the...
Well, why don't we do that first?
Why don't we do
I
that,
want to say
Dr.
hello to
Okay.
Atlanta.
Everybody who's listening on Atlanta at 860 a.m., call letters Love 860 WAEC, who we seem to be doing very well.
Very well. And keep that mic closer to you, please.
And what we're trying to do is we want to thank you so much for being such a great audience and writing in questions and being so concerned about what Dr. Pannozzo does.
Well, people are going to start flying in from there. And
well, you already have a patient that called you.
It's only one day in, one day out.
Not even.
Yeah. So, and the work is guaranteed, don't forget. And let me talk about phone calls. I had a phone call this week from an irate lady. I mean, she was really angry.
Really?
And wanted to know what I was going to do with stenosis. And it's like, I could just imagine her. She's going to say, what do you do for stenosis? And sit there, for me to answer. Well, you can't answer a question like that. You're putting me on a spot, and you're saying, first of all, you're making a diagnosis, which is absolutely not true. That comes from an MRI, which is not accurate. So you can't ask a question like that. You can only say, I have a backache for so long. It goes in the leg or not in the leg. I had an MRI. And can you help me? And I could say yes or no, and then give you an appointment. But if you ask me, what do I do? There is no way I can tell you because each person is an individual, has individual problems. So you need to take a history. Where is this pain? Why do you have it? How long? Etc. Then you have to do a clinical exam, which brings out the source of that pain. Then we do a special film to find out what's wrong with that area. And then we could tell you what we could do.
Yeah, because everyone's different.
So this is a legitimate doctor's office. I mean, this is we're not giving you advice that isn't based on a good science. There is very deep science here. So when you call on the phone, don't get angry if I don't answer. I can't. Because first of all, you're making a diagnosis. But what if your diagnosis is wrong?
Like we've shown a lot of times in the past.
Yes.
All the time, because if you're using an MRI, it's not going to be accurate at all. Now, you have questions that called in from people who have a ripped shoulder. I mean, how the hell do you get that?
That was one of the things I was going to ask you. Can you have a torn ligament?
You can't have a torn anything. There's no way to get it. You have to fall off the Empire State Building and splatter yourself on the...
Well, then you can't help them if they fall that far.
Well, no.
There's no shot
only if they bounce.
There's no shot that's going to help that.
No, we don't have services for the unliving.
I don't think there's any doctor that I know of that could give a diagnosis over the phone for two reasons. One, he's got to go through what we call the gatekeeper. The girl who's 27 years old, who's got the this job because her father and the doctor are friends. How do they no one gives diagnoses over the phone, and why would they expect you to?
You cannot. It's too deep.
Right.
I mean, it's everybody is different, and everybody gets exactly what they need in my office. No matter if you have to wait an hour or 2 hours or whatever it takes, you're going to get what you require when you come into that office, and it's not easy.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
there's a whole basic science and physics problems with of weight bearing when you have a backache. Same thing with the neck. Oh, by the way, that the migraine and the vertigo combination is doing very well, by the way.
You got any more people?
We got more people doing that.
Well, we got some good news, but I'll let you finish.
And but so that's the message. When you call up, and we want you to call, but we want it to be more businesslike. Say, here's my pain. This is how long I've had it. Can you help me? Yes or no. Don't ask me what do I do. I have a guy who writes me an email. He's irate.
A lot of emails.
He says, you're not answering my email. What do you do? I mean, what do you do with people like that? It's a lack of knowledge about what it takes to get a 100% cure rate like we do for headache, for lower back pain. We get a 100% cure rate, but it's not that easy to do.
No, it's not.
It's called medicine.
Everybody's different.
For a reason.
So anyway, call up. I want you to call, but just put it in where I can help you.
Call us up if you want to talk to Dr. Pannozzo
for
today.
instance, shoulders, some things are treatable really easy. And we can bring you in a minute for a shoulder.
Right.
It just takes a couple of minutes for me to do that. I'm that good at it. Believe me, it works.
Well,
so this guy calls me up and he says, do you take United Healthcare? I said, I think we do, but, call them up and see. Well, we're out of network. So I said, well, look, this is the best you can get. You're going to get a treatment, an evaluation and a treatment the same day. And if you can't sleep, you're going to sleep that night. And, by the way, if the insurance company sends you to a therapist first, you've already lost. Don't do it. Call back, make an appointment, pay for it, and you're going to benefit there. Don't let the insurance company tell you what to do for your own health.
The two things that you should always not take any advice or concern about anything unless it's your health, you're responsible for yourself, and your money.
That's right.
Okay.
That's my philosophy.
Because let's look at some. Okay, let's say someone comes in, and they say, "Well, I don't have insurance." Well, let's break it down to the stupid. Okay, it costs you $4 a day to have a cup of coffee at Starbucks. That's $28 a week.
Amazing.
28 times 4 is less money that he charges to get your pain away. Now, I want you to rationalize this as money. You have no problem going and getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks for $4, leaving the girl a tip or whatever. Okay, why won't you think of it that way? If the insurance companies are a business, and people have to understand it's a business. They stay in business to make money. They're not in there to help you.
Do you realize that we could treat a low back pain for most of the time less than it takes to have an MRI?
Yeah.
What do you get from an MRI?
Nothing.
You don't
it's a
get
one-dimensional piece of paper.
You get no treatment from that. But if you come to me, I'll treat you and take that pain away for less than it costs for an MRI.
Guaranteed.
Now, where would you want to go? I mean, come on.
Freddie, let me ask you a question. You and I have been around a lot. We talked to so many people in our careers. When have you ever seen, I mean, you work with the medical community, I work with the medical community. When have you seen any physician, again, let me explain to you folks, this is a doctor, a medical doctor, has said to you, I guarantee I can get rid of your pain forever. Have you ever heard that from any doctor?
No.
Any surgeon says, well, you ask the surgeon, well, am I going to be okay?
If they operate on the right leg,
yeah,
you got a better chance. But even that's a maybe.
Well, basically, the reason we talk like this is because basic science is that when you get injured, you get internal scar tissue, which is where the pain is. Inflammation, scar tissue, tightness, lack of motion. That's the way it works. If you get operated, you get a scar tissue, inflammation, and a lack of motion. Now, what would you rather do? Would you rather have that treated before surgery, or do you want to have it treated after surgery? I mean, you got to make up your mind. You got to think. You got to think smart. And that's what we're doing on this program, trying to make you smart.
Well, let's
not as smart as me, but you're going to be smart.
Well, I'm right there. The three of us, we're a team, Doc. We have a guy that works out at the gym. I won't give his name. We work out at the gym together. He's had 2 knee surgeries, correct?
Right.
And I told him what Dr. Pannozzo, he flew up to Denver to find out why, after all this surgery, do I still have pain. It's a true story. So I said, go see Dr. Pannozzo. He said, I said, then don't complain. He wore did he tell you he wore Tommy Copper? That was the guy who told you he wore Tommy Copper. I said, did it work? He says, no, I got a rash. Okay. He's been to Dr. Pannozzo.
Rash.
Because his is a little more complicated than one shot. He's playing tennis now. He has stopped playing tennis. Now he says, I saw him, he says, you know what? This guy is really good. I said, I wouldn't say to anybody that wasn't good. So now he goes to him because
what did he have? Scar tissue.
Oh, my God, both knees.
Here, you got to understand what an orthopedic surgeon does. Once he operates on you, scar tissue is made. You can't operate without scar tissue. That's where the pain is after the surgery. They don't do this kind of work. You understand they do surgery work? They don't do this kind of work. I do that kind of work. We take the pain out after the surgery. And you're not going to get a referral to us from these surgeons.
No.
Because they'll refer it to the therapist so they can probably operate again. And that's what usually happens. It's a closed system. But you got to be smart enough as a public to know this happens. And you go where you get an opinion on what can be done and where this pain actually comes from. And we will tell you that.
Well, I'm sorry, Freddy, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Well, it's funny because...
What's the good news first?
Hold on. My daughter tells me and Linda to go see Trainwreck, which has been out for the longest. There's only 2 movie theaters showing this movie now. And I wasn't really thrilled with what I read, yada, yada, yada. But long story short of it, it reminded me of Dr. Pannozzo. There's a doctor on that set, and he performs knee surgeries.
Oh, that's not Dr. Pannozzo,
the New York Knicks. But you should see how this doctor walks on water. Mm-hmm. Because he's giving their careers back to them, the opportunities. Meanwhile, the guy that he operated on, I don't even want to say his name.
No, don't.
The knee collapsed 3 times. The Knicks finally cut him, and it was Stoudemire. I got to say the name.
Okay,
Stoudemire, my favorite player.
Stoudemire. Oh, when he was in Phoenix, I tried to to treat him there.
As long as it's true,
if you had treated him in Phoenix, he would still be playing.
He'd still
for
be
the
playing.
Knicks.
They put probably 10 or 15 screws around his...
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, the whole thing is bizarre. Where do these people get this kind of ideas?
He went in and had 2 more surgeries after Phoenix.
Yeah, right.
So the whole movie is about how this doctor floats on the air because he's a orthopedic. It's a love story and all this that goes with it.
Yeah.
But Stoudemire is grabbing him and hugging him. You have LeBron is in the movie. All of these basketball players. And I'm looking at this movie, and it finally dawned on me, our society is based on a myth. There's, I'm going to do it because this famous guy is doing it.
Exactly right.
I'm going to do it because they say to do it. Dr. Andrew in California started this myth, so they think that Tommy John is the way to go. Well, I found out that there are ball players that did not select Tommy John surgery. Mm-hmm. They didn't need it, and they're the ace of their staff. Only 24% of Tommy John pitchers come back to be effective.
That's the key. You have to, in medicine, what we look at
stats,
successful treatment is you got to have 85% plus cure rate. 85% plus.
It's below that.
And they're 24%. Why do that procedure? These orthopedic surgeons ought to wipe that out and not do it. It's crazy.
Because it gives an athlete a chance to get back in the game. If you're with somebody...
No, they lose their opportunity. Only 24%
That's
come
right.
back. So where's your opportunity?
Going back to the movie, Trainwreck, it's all about the hype. It's all about Harvey not pitching because Andrew
hype
and his Scott Boras agent have shut him down and say you have to save your arm.
First
I'm going to save you.
That surgeon has nothing to do with it. If he wants to check him every week, he can make a statement like that, but not say you can only pitch 180 games. That's stupid. Who thinks like that?
And he pitched.
I can't believe this stuff.
He pitched last week. He laid an egg.
Oh, yeah,
the Mets still won, but he laid an egg. The Mets are hitting now. That's why they're winning. But the starting pitchers, except for Syndergaard and Colon, everybody's just struggling. So I don't know. They can skip turns. They can shut him down till the Yankee series at the end of the year. He's not going to be effective because what I read was to be a major league successful pitcher, you have to sort of take that ligament in that elbow and get it so that it leaves your body. I mean, it's turning at such a torque
It's not actually made that way. I mean,
No.
it's rather simple, but you have to break it down into components, which is what I do. Each component is treated separately, and that's how you get a normal elbow. I mean, what was the name? Was just in here?
The Greek. So anyone that listens to CZR knows who the Greek is.
Yeah, he had an elbow pain for
Right.
years and years and years. We took care of that in one day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he could do whatever he wants now.
Now,
And he is.
you know what the biggest fear
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
Doc? When you treat an elbow, now you're going to have to get them young. Again, we talked about bringing in kids young. They think that all of these injuries are starting when they're young kids. But let's say you treat an older guy that has a damaged ligament, strain. They're afraid that you're going to remove anything that's going on there, and these guys are going to think they're Supermen. And they're going to turn the torque even higher, because if that ball breaks even more, they got to make more money.
That is absolutely not true. You can only do what you're designed to do.
It's a myth.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's like the movie. It's a myth.
Plus, that being young is okay if there's symptoms. If there's no symptoms, they don't have it. And you have to be able to examine for these things. And that's what I do the best. I examine. I know how to examine people. And you should be able to bring out the pain if they have it. If they don't have it, you can't bring it out. So at any age, we're talking about. Now that 16-year-old we saw with the elbow, who was not an elbow, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to a guy like that, because they're going to miss it completely.
And you know something? They're never going to analyze that situation. I feel bad.
Yeah.
But you told him the truth.
Yeah.
And the mother didn't let the truth be healed.
Right.
Well, there you have it. And what are you supposed to do?
And you know what bothers me? Why come to see him, Dr. Pannozzo, when you're not